Alright, what's up guys? It's Senpai. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to remap and Twixtor anime clips or raw footage of anime. Doesn't matter what you're really remapping, I guess, as long as you follow the steps. So let's go ahead and get started. Just for example purposes, we're just going to be starting a new composition, which you can do by pressing the little film icon on the left. So for this example, we're just going to be doing 53 seconds, even though we don't need that much actual comp time. So you're going to grab your raw footage. If, like, this anime is in 1920 by 788, if for some reason it doesn't fit your composition settings, usually the Monogatari series resolution is a bit wonky or just a little bit different. If you need to resize the resolution of the comp to fit the anime, you can just go into composition settings and then just change here. Make sure you have the lock aspect ratio unchecked, as if you have it locked, I can show you. It'll move together. So like this anime is in 1920 by 788, so if you just change it to those values, there you go, your anime fits your comp. So going to the Twixtor itself, you want to find your clips wherever you're going to cut. So for example purposes, I'm just going to be showing y'all like a good little area that's good for Twixtoring. Obviously, like, if there's a lot of movement in a scene, you're going to get warps. Scenes are going to warp. But if, for instances, if scenes are already pretty much slower and smoother, it'll look a lot better for Twixtoring. So I can show you, for example, something like, let me just cut to a good part. So something like this right here. If you need to shorten the clip to a certain point, Alt left bracket will bring the raw footage to that point that your timeline or your cursor is on, and then go to the end of your clip and you can press Ctrl Shift D. Since I'm just showing this as example purposes, we're just going to go ahead and delete the rest of the footage. And pretty much this is how I do my Twixtor remapping on everything. So if my Twixtor remapping method doesn't work with your scene, there are multiple different methods for doing Twixtor. This is generally how I do it. Usually if my scenes don't work with this method, I just completely scrap the scene, as I just tend to like the way this method looks whenever it's done correctly. So for example purposes, we'll just go ahead and open up Twixtor. And you're going to want to use GPU off unless Twixtor supports your graphics card. It does not support my graphics card, which is why I don't use it. Uncheck the FPS. I usually change this to about 8. Best, motion vectors, contrast, edge enhance, and image prep. And blending, motion weighted blend, inverse with smart blend is what I use. You can mess around with these settings, of course, but I'd recommend these settings right here that I use. Once you have the base Twixtor settings set up, I pre-comp, which is Ctrl Shift C, move all attributes in a new composition, and make sure you have both these boxes checked off. Name your clip. I usually just go by numbers. Go back to your comp, and you'll see it's Twixtored, but if you were to preview it, just give it a second. It takes a while to preview these in full quality. We turn the audio off. You can see it looks pretty smooth already, but if you really want that slow bit at the end to kind of go fast, slow type look, what you're going to want to do is you're going to press Control-Alt-T or a time remap. Of course, you would want this synced up with your song by putting your markers like this. You press Control-T, get to your time remap, highlight them, press F9, and I use Flow, which is a script plugin that allows you to automate graphs, but for this instance I'm gonna guess you don't have Flow, and you're just gonna go into your graph editor, which is right here. Go ahead and highlight, drag over your keyframes, and this is usually the graph that I like to do. And you'll notice once you do this, it'll have the fast in and the slow out. I guess that's the best way to explain it. And then you would add your shakes, your scales. If you want a tutorial on shakes and scales, I can show you that as well. So if you have a warp like this, what I recommend doing is putting a keyframe wherever it doesn't warp, deleting the keyframe where it starts to warp, and just move the keyframe that it didn't warp on all the way to the end of the clip, and then fix your graph if it's all janked up, because usually when you mess around with keyframes your graph will kind of move, and then you should be good to go for the most part when it comes to warping. All these little warps are you kind of have to deal with these. You can put some motion blur over them. If it's too slow towards the end, you can just drag this little keyframe handle over a little bit, and you can create some movement there to where it doesn't get completely still. And that's generally how I do things. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's nothing really else. The other method of Twixtor is a bit different. You can add your scales by holding S and dragging in, keyframe the end. I usually like to scale out to 101, and then you can use the graph for this, or you can press F9, go into graph editor, and I kind of do the same scale, just outwards, and that's it. You can add things like shakes if you really wanted to. If you wanted to add your shakes, you just put your shake. I'm fucking this up so bad. You'd put your shake preset on, or you'd manually animate your shakes, and then preview, and you should have a nice looking clip, as long as it's synced with, you know, your song, of course. And there you go. That's how I do my Twixtor method. If you have any questions, don't feel free to leave a comment and get a hold of me at Twitter. My Twitter is linked to my YouTube. So yeah, if y'all have any questions, just let me know. I'll be doing